There's a ton of videos out there telling you that you need to set up Splunk, install Sysmon, and use that for your cybersecurity experience. Well, I'm here to talk about something different today. We're still going to be using Sysmon and Splunk, but instead we are going to implement this new open source EDR called rustinel. Rustinel is an open source EDR written completely in Rust that you can use Sigma, Yara, and Atomic IOCs to build out detection rules so it can alert you, and you can even forward the logs to Splunk using the universal forwarder to be able to make dashboards, search the alerts in your SIM, and when you combine it with Sysmon, you have full telemetry to investigate your alerts with. For a quick background, I originally found this tool on LinkedIn, and right from the beginning, I knew it was something I had to try out. And honestly, there's not a better time to try it than now because, like I said, they just recently added Atomic IOC, so not only can you use Sigma rules, you can also use domain names, IP addresses, file hashes, and regex. Huge shout out to Theo and open sourcing this and giving a great tool for the cybersecurity community. Before we dive into it, let's talk about the prerequisites of this lab. First off, I'm running VirtualBox with a domain controller, a Windows 11 victim PC, forensics machine, and a Splunk server. You don't need all these. At minimum, you need a Splunk server and one machine. In this video, I'm going to be walking you through how to install Rust, install rustinel, install Sysmon with the appropriate config files, and get all the data ingested into Splunk. So you will need to have your Splunk already configured. There's plenty of guides on YouTube that I promise you can do it. Once you have Splunk and a Windows machine, come back to the video. So let's get into why am I making this video? Why did I make this lab? I currently work in digital forensics and incident response, and I want to get more involved in detection engineering. And there's also this new YouTube channel that I have that I want to run simulated attacks and build out detections for content. So this is a perfect stack for me to build out detections, test them, and upload YouTube videos for you guys. I've already done this on one of my machines, but I still need to do it on my domain controller. So let's jump on over to the virtual machine and get this done. Okay, so here I am on my virtual machine. We're going to go ahead and start this Rust download. Favorite search engine, just go ahead to the rustlang.org website, and I'll put that in the description as well so it makes it easier. Download the 32-bit or the 64 version, depending on what you're using. All right, so once that's downloaded, go ahead and run it and do the quick install option that will download Visual Studio Community Installer. Okay, once the installation is complete, go ahead and press 1 again. You're going to proceed with the standard Rust installation, and once that's done, just press enter. All right, so next we're going to be downloading rustinel. Now, to download rustinel, you can go ahead and just follow the link in the description, or you can go to your search bar and type in rustinel caribou, and that will take you to the GitHub repository. You can also just go to the releases page and download the release that you need. You can just go ahead and download the zip file. Once your zip file is downloaded, we're going to need to extract it. So make sure you go ahead, open it, and extract it into somewhere where you can leave it permanently, just in case you decide to run this as a service later. I'm going to copy mine into program files and rename the folder rustinel, if you would like to do that as well. And once again, like I said, the reason why we're going to do this is so that when we run it as a service, it knows the same location to run every time. Okay, so now that's installed, we can go ahead and just download Sysmon. And once you're on the Windows Learn page, just go ahead and download from the blue URL right at the top. I'm going to extract this into my desktop because we still need the config file that basically tells Sysmon its configuration. So I want to make sure I have this somewhere easy to run the command later. Now we're going to go into Swift on Security Sysmon configuration. You can type it into your search bar, or once again, link in the description. And we're just going to download this XML file from the GitHub page. This is an awesome configuration file. It'll give you the bare minimum you need to get started. I highly recommend you just work with this one. So go ahead and download that. You can keep it if your browser yells at you, and you want to put this in the same directory as your Sysmon executable. Now we're going to copy this path, and we're going to go ahead and go to a elevated PowerShell window. When you're in your elevated PowerShell window, we're going to cd to your directory, and we're going to run sysmon except EULA, and we're going to specify our XML file as our configuration. I'll also include this text in the description for you to easily copy and paste. Okay, congratulations. We now have Sysmon installed. Now we have the two main components of what we're going to be using. We're going to be using rustinel, and we're going to be using Sysmon. Next, we need to get rustinel configured, add in some test IOCs. We'll launch rustinel, and then we'll get it configured to forward the alerts into Splunk. If you're enjoying this video so far, feel free to leave me a like and subscribe if you want more content like this. All right, so what we're going to do now is we are going to go ahead and launch rustinel. Once again, in an elevated PowerShell, just go to your rustinel directory and rustinel.exe. Okay, now that rustinel is running, these are the alert files that you can expect. You have a file called alerts.json and rustinel.log. So we're going to go ahead and test it by running whoami.exe with the all flag, since there's a test rule that we'll talk about later. And as you can see, our log file was populated, and it generated an alert in our rustinel window. And now our log file is populated here. So the cool thing about rustinel is that it actually keeps a hot tab for any IOCs that you add. Let's expand on this and make a Sigma rule for something simple like Mimikatz. And then we'll take this example whoami file and we'll edit it in Notepad++ or your favorite editor. And what we're going to want to do is we're going to copy it. and make a new one. Let's go ahead and copy paste this in. Now I'm going to keep this very basic because I am not a detection engineer yet. And we're just going to go Mimikatz execution, the command line and image. And then we're going to go and we're going to change this GUID because ideally all your GUID should be unique. You can generate one with CyberChef, or you can just make something random. I'm going to do 987654321 CBA. And then we're going to change the description as to detects Mimikatz. Detects when Mimikatz is executed. And then what you want to do is we're going to change the image ends with, and we're going to change that to ends with mimikatz.exe. So what this does right here is it actually changes your detection. It's selecting the image, and the image contains mimikatz.exe. And then what we're also going to do is we're also going to change the command line to contains Mimikatz as well, just so it's super broad, just for a test. And we're going to go ahead and change the level to high. All right, and you can also say the condition is matching on selection image and selection image or selection command line. And we're going to go ahead and save that, and it's going to be a YAML and a markup language. So we're going to do broad Mimikatz detection and save that as a YAML file. And the cool thing is about rustinel is these events are all hot swappable. So as soon as you add one, it automatically gets added into your rustinel configuration. So let's go ahead and download Mimikatz. You can just download it from the Parasec GitHub repository. We're just going to go ahead and download Mimikatz now. Just hit download zip. Go ahead and extract it, and then we're going to execute it. Go ahead and open a PowerShell window and cd to your Mimikatz directory, and go ahead and execute Mimikatz, and let's see what happens. Well, as you can see over here, it has already detected in our rustinel rule and has created the detection. So as you can see, our detection alert works. It's very broad, but it still works. You can tighten this up, and there's also free and open source Sigma rules for Mimikatz and a bunch of other activity that you can go and download if you want. Let's check out our alert file. Look, so we have all the events for transfer.sh, and now we have the event for the Mimikatz process execution. Cool. So now you might be wondering, how do we get this data into Splunk so we can search it and build dashboards? Let's go do that right now. So first we need to be able to transfer this data to Splunk using the universal forwarder. Before we do that, let's go ahead and log into our Splunk instance, and we're going to go set up our receivers. I've already done this, but I'm going to walk you through it again. Go over to settings, and then we're going to go to forwarding and receiving. Once you're there, hit configure receiving and change your port to 9997. Assuming you left everything as default when you install. So we need to build our indexes. I want to build one for Sysmon and one for rustinel. So what you need to do is you need to go to settings, indexes. You need to hit new index, and then just go ahead and name your index rustinel or Sysmon. And you want to do that twice, one for each, rustinel and Sysmon. As you can see, I have one for rustinel, one for Sysmon already. So you're going to go download the Splunk forwarder. You can just go to splunk.com and sign into your Splunk account to do so. Okay, so what you're going to do is check the user license agreement, hit on-prem Splunk Enterprise instance, and pay attention to this next part. You're going to need to set a username and a password. Just go ahead and set it to something secure that you'll remember. I am not going to do that because this is for a demo. And then the deployment server, if you have your Splunk set up as a deployment server, do this, but I don't, so I'm going to skip it. And we're going to set the host name or IP address in the receiving indexer section. I'm going to put the IP address of my indexer, and then the default port again as 9997. Okay, now we need to configure our inputs.conf file. The inputs.conf file tells Splunk where to look for logs. So we're going to go ahead and go to this directory. It's Splunk Universal Forwarder, etc, system, and then here we are. So I'm just going to open the outputs.conf file to show you. It has this kind of format, and we're just going to hit new, and we're going to go ahead and type this in for our inputs. First, we want to make sure we capture our Sysmon data. So what we're going to do is we're going to type in this specific format. Be sure to use this format. We're going to go open bracket, Windows, open. We're going to go open bracket, win event log, Microsoft dash Windows dash Sysmon. We're going to go back and change that last dash to a backslash and operational. Then we're going to close the bracket. And now we're going to set some parameters for this, like the is enabled. Well, we're going to set disabled to 0. Render XML to true because Windows event logs aren't XML. And we're going to set index equals Sysmon because that's one of the indexes we created earlier. And that's where we want our Sysmon logs to go. Make sure this is nice and formatted. And now we're going to do the rustinel index. So we're going to monitor, and we're going to use the path for rustinel. Just make sure that you use the path to your rustinel directory. Mine is in program files rustinel, so I'm going to do that. And what we're going to want to do is Rustinel generates multiple logs on the alerts per day. So we're going to do alerts asterisk, so it gets all the alert files that are generated per day. And we're going to do disabled equals 0. And we're going to set the index to rustinel. And we're going to specify the source type as JSON. And now that this is done, we're going to save it as inputs.conf. Be sure to specify all files. So now what we need to do is actually restart the Splunk forwarding service. So it looks for our inputs.conf file again. We're going to open PowerShell and we can just restart the service that way. What we're going to do is we're going to run the restart service and specify Splunk Universal Forwarder. Now let's go ahead and run our search in Splunk again now that it's restarted, and we should be seeing logs now. And there you go. We now have logs for rustinel events. You can see this is our Mimikatz process execution right here. And yeah, now you have Sysmon forwarding to Splunk. You also have rustinel forwarding to Splunk. So you can detect and investigate any events that you find that match your IOCs. All right, that's the end of the video. So if you learned something, please subscribe. If you have any ideas for future content for this channel, leave them down in the comments.